Hey guys, what's up? It's Dragoon here, and yes, it's a miracle. I am still alive, and I'm bringing you guys another Elemental Hero deck profile. It's been a couple months since the last one, and while I don't typically like to do deck profiles when a ban list is on the horizon, I figured it'd be nice to at least make an exception for this one. Before I get into that, however, I want to give you guys a bit of info as to what's been going on in the past couple weeks. I went to an anime convention at the beginning of June. It was a lot of fun. However, if those of you have been to an anime con or know anything about anime cons, you probably have ever heard about something called the con plague. And well, I kind of caught it. It's essentially people go to cons when they're sick, and other people thus end up sick. I was one of them, and you can probably still hear it a little bit, but I'm now well enough to at least put this video up. I've been super busy with work too, so it makes a whole mess of problems because by the time I get home from work, it's dark and the light in my house is not very good. But let's go ahead and get into this. I know the ban list is coming soon, but like I said, hey, whatever, maybe I'll just post another one. And I'm sure you guys wouldn't be upset about that. So let's get right into this one. Not a ton is different from the last time, but let's talk about what is. So starting things off, we have the triple Shadow Mist. It's the most important monster of the deck. She gives you heroes, she gives you max change cards, and she makes plays happen, and you really don't need to say much other than that. You got the triple Bowman, probably the second most important monster in the deck. Special. You need to make Xyz summons, and this is the guy to do it with. I actually was dueling yesterday. I was playing against UAs. This deck has a pretty decent matchup against them. I ended up being able to get the Bowman special defense, draw 2. It was actually really freaking solid. One difference I'll get to later makes Bowman even more important than he actually was before, and like I said, I'll talk about that when we get to it. So you got those at 3, and the last of the heroes are 1 each. You have the 1 Alias. It used to be at 2. I've dropped it to 1. If we had Stratos, I probably wouldn't play him at all, but we don't, and I will continue to complain about it until we get him back, which is never, so I probably should just stop. And we have the 1 Elemental hero, Blazeman. Blazeman is good. He's not amazing. I don't personally like to run more than one of him. He lets you dump mists from the deck and copy and he makes your Dark Law plays a little more consistent. I guess you could go into an acid by dumping a Bubbleman, but I don't know. I don't know. I hardly actually ever use that effect because more often than not, when I want to have those masked heroes on the board, I have Bubbleman or Mist anyway, so he's mainly just there to get the plus in the form of Polymerization, so more pluses are always good though, so I like playing 1 Blazeman, 1 Alias. It works out nice enough. You can also dump Alias for Blaze, so you don't draw him if you don't want to, and he'll go up to 19 for the turn, so it's not terrible. Those are all the heroes. There are 8 of them, as you could tell. And the last 2 monsters are the same as last time. I try to keep the monster count pretty low because, I just don't think you need a ton in this deck. It's the 2 Summoner Monk. It lets you ditch unnecessary spells and special mist from the deck, which is pretty much the most important thing you can do. You can make OTKs with this guy, actually. You go Monk. You have to obviously be prepared for what your opponent could have. But anyway, you go Monk, effect, special another Monk. This one's effect, special a hero. It doesn't really matter what it is. I'd get Mist, if anything, but let's just for the sake of things grab Blaze. And then if you have a Ballman in the hand, you have, you have you can do a lot of damage there with Xyz monsters and stuff. You can at least make either Excalibur plus Blade Armor, and then one other Xyz of your choice, so it works out kind of nicely. Those are all of the monsters. Let's move on to the spells. These guys over here. You got the 1 Reinforcement of the Army, and the 3 Emergency Call. You can play any combination of these as you like. If you decide you want to run Goblinberg in the deck, I thought about trying it. I haven't had the time. I don't even know where my Goblinbergs are. They're in a tin somewhere with all the other common monsters I have. You can, if you run Goblinberg, I recommend running 3 copies of this and maybe just 1 of this. But if you're not running Goblinberg or other warrior monsters, then play this because it's a theme card and it's fun. Except unless you don't think the same way. Here we have 2 A Hero Lives. I don't like playing more than 2 of this because it makes you pay half your life, and it's a dead draw late game if you are already winning. So why would you want to play 3? I don't know. Some people like that. I don't. 2 has always been the sweet spot for me, and I'm going to keep playing it at 2 until I decide it doesn't work that well anymore. And I don't know when that's going to be because I like this. Continuing the hero support, we have 3 Mask Change. If you're not playing 3 Mask Change, I don't know why you wouldn't be, but you should. It makes very good plays happen, and you should totally do it because it's awesome. To coincide with those, we have Double Mask Charge. This card's great. It's a +1 every time you get it off. I realize you have to have the stuff in the graveyard to activate it in the first place, but with only playing it at 2, you typically won't have to run into this as a dead draw too often. If you find yourself drawing too many of it, play at least 1. I think it's just too good to not play it. It's like, would you not play Salvage in a water deck? I don't think so. I think you would. So why not play Mask Charge as well? And then the last card we have for the hero support is the 1 Polymerization. It's obligatory if you're playing Blaze. You need to play this. I draw this all the time when I have Blaze in hand. It's kind of annoying. It's really annoying, actually. But back what I was talking about with Bubble Man, Bubble Man gets a lot more worth because of this card. And believe it or I did not expect this card to be as useful as it is, because Polymerization, you know, if you look at it just on paper, it's a pretty bad card. You have to neg yourself too just to make a fusion monster. But with Mist and the way the deck works, if you're playing well enough just based on the pacing of the deck, you sometimes will end up with just extra monsters sitting in your hand that you can't do anything with, and this gives you something to do with them. And it's won me at least a couple games, so I like it. But if Blaze did not exist, there's not a chance I'd be playing this, just saying. And the last of the spells are the generic ones. We've got the triple space. You can decide if you want to run this down to 2. Klee aren't as powerful as they used to be when I began maining triple space, but there are still enough annoying traps and spells and stuff like that that I feel like in Heroes at least it is warranted, especially if they're not running Gemini Spark. Because, well, you only have 1 alias. There's no reason to run Gemini Spark. Last 2 spells, you've got Book of Moon and Regeki, because they're good. So the trap's pretty standard, nothing, there won't be too many surprises here. You've got the 1 Torrential, these are your staples, Bottomless, Compulsory Evacuation Device, and Vanity's Emptiness. I don't run Solemn Warning because you pay too much life with a Hero Lives, and I don't want to draw into it when I'm under 2,000, because there are so many games, and you shouldn't have to do this, but depending on your matchup, it harbiges so much on you making Darklaw first turn. You're going first, you just have to Hero Lives your very first turn to cut yourself down to 4,000. It sucks, but I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, and that's what you gotta do. So therefore I don't run Warning. Vanities is a really solid replacement for it anyway. I feel like if I was running Warning, I'd still play this because I just think it's a good one-of. However, I do think you should, if you want, you can play, I don't know, like Black Horn of Heaven or something like that. It's also pretty decent. I play 2 Breakthrough Skill. They're standard. If it gets spaced, you can still use it, so I like to play it. The 2 Mirror Force, it's good, especially if you have Darklaw, because it becomes super dimensional prison. It's like Black Sonic, so it's good. 2 Call of the Haunted, you use this on your opponent's turn like I talked about before. Bring Mist back, add Mask Change. Next turn you do something with Mist and you get her effect again, so you get extra pluses. Plus it just helps you OTK a little bit, especially if you already have, you know, like a big Xyz in the graveyard, you can just bring it right back in OTK. So it works really well in decks that can utilize it like this one can. And then I play 2 Mind Crush because it's really good against Necroz. It's good against other things too, but it's mainly good against them, and since it's the biggest deck, I think it's relevant to play, especially when you're playing heroes and sometimes you have trouble against that sort of thing. Last card is Proxy. It's pretty obvious for what it is, though. This is a Destruction Ring, but it's just a proxy for Ring of Destruction. This card's terrible. This actual card is completely awful, but Ring of Destruction's good. It's one of the best chainable traps right now. Who knows, maybe it'll get hit and banned on the next ban list, but I actually took this to a local tournament this past week, and no one would let me use this proxy. I had to take it out every time. They were upset about that. So they really don't like Ring of Destruction there, and I guess I understand why. But that's all the traps. Let's move on to the extra deck. It's relatively straightforward. We'll just do the Xyz first. Gaga Cowboy, Black Ship of Corn, Abyss Dweller, 101, Ragna Zero, Castel. I don't know. These are just all really good. If you have an Exciton Knight, you should play it, because I don't have one and I'm not going to pay for one. So if you want to pay for one, do it. I don't care what you take out. You do that to your heart's content. I have Photon Pappy Operative. This is really good in against Burning Abyss. I really do recommend playing this, because if you can pump one of these out plus a fusion like a Dark Law, or potentially you can make a Blade Armor Ninja, as you can see, there he is. You pump this out plus that, and you just kill all their Dantes, and it's really stupid, and they get really upset. So once they're out of Dante, you just pretty much win anyway. So it's really cool, because then you just beat stupid things. Blade Armor Ninja, he's my favorite Xyz in the game, probably. I just really like him. Excalibur, these two are just OTK potential, so you don't have to play them both if you don't want to. I like playing both of them. It usually works out nicely, but if you want to take one out, do it. It's just personal preference, whichever one you don't like. I play the one Absolute Zero. If you're running Polymerization, you either play this or you play Vision Hero Adoration. I like this more just because it has the deterrent, so if they kill him, it blows up their whole field, which is really good. So this is what I was talking about when Polymerization has won me games. I really mean that Absolute Zero has won me games, because he was good and he always has been good, and I think he always will be decent at least. So he's really cool. I play one Masked Hero Acid. I dropped him to 1 in favor of adding the Absolute Zero in. You really don't need more than one, at least not right now. I've never had the situation come up in which I was like, oh gosh, I wish I had one more Acid in the extra deck, because it's been fine otherwise. So one Acid, it blows out their entire spell and trap zone, and if you have 0 on board, you mask change them into this, you clear the whole field with 2 cards, so it's really cool. And you play the obligatory 3 Dark Law, because it's Dark Law, you don't really need an explanation there. And the last monster of the extra deck is Masked Hero Anki. I don't play Koga anymore. I took him out for Anki, because Anki, in my opinion, is better. With Alias being such a minimal contender in the main deck, I only played Koga because I had the room for it, and Anki is really, really powerful. Anki gets you so much advantage because he's 28. And, I mean, yes, you could. I've never actually used his effect to attack directly to win a duel or anything like that, but summoning Anki and then just adding Mask Change to your hand, giving you plays into either making a Dark Claw the following turn, or an Acid, which is usually what I like to do. It's really good, and like I said, it's mainly just because he's big. He's big at 28, and I think he's the strongest. He's clearly the strongest fusion you have. But outside of Excalibur, I think he's the strongest monster. Well, Excalibur needs his effect anyway, but he's probably the strongest monster in your extra deck anyway. So he's big, and that's why he's good. But that is the hero deck, you guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have any questions, like I said, please feel free to leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what kind of questions you might have. And with that, I'll catch you guys next time.